Hey guys, good morning. Today we're going to be looking at the steering lock, an immobilizer issue that I'm having with my 2004 L322. I'll show you guys what the issue is here. So, you get in the car and you put the key in, turn it, you got the lights, try to turn it on, and nothing happens. Nothing at all, and then it won't let me turn the key again. So, no click. Put it in, nothing. Turn it, lights come on. Try to start it, nothing happens. Can't turn it again, and that's it. So I found that if I pull fuse 18, which is this fuse right here, that 10 amp fuse, if I pull it and wait 30 seconds, and then plug it back in again, I can turn on and off the ignition a couple of times and get the car to start. So it seems that the culprit is this box right here. There's a little steering lock mechanism in there that's tied to the immobilizer, and it has failed. So everything I've read online has said you have to replace the entire steering column to fix the issue, because that steering lock is located on the steering column, and you can't, as you can see here, you can't get it off. It's part of the column. So I did find a workaround to replacing the entire column. To replace the entire column, you have to pull out the footwell, you got to pull out all kinds of stuff, and it's a really intrusive job. But I think I figured out a solution. So this is a donor steering column that I got from a salvage yard. So here's what I got. So you have the upper steering column and you have the lower steering column. Okay. This is what Land Rover wants you to replace, the entire deal. What I found you can do is there's these little clips on the side. You remove these two. You remove this fastener here. This comes off. And then you can slide this pin out. This pin is an adjustment pin. So you just wiggle that out like that. And then what you can actually do, this might be hard with one hand here, but you can actually separate the two. So you can actually separate the two if you pull it straight out. And this is the telescoping function, but you can actually pull it straight out here, so you can, and then if you pull hard enough, you'll actually get the whole thing, you get the whole thing out, and you can see it's a splined end on the inside there. And this is the portion that you have to replace, this upper steering column right here. So I'm going to use my old steering cassette, I'm going to use my old stocks and everything. I'm just going to replace this bit here. You can see the steering lock and immobilizer right here. And what I've done already is I've tested this before I even started, before I messed with anything on the car. What I did was I came right over here, and you can see this plug right here. All you do is you push in right here, and then you slide this down. This whole plug comes out, and I just set the new steering column right here and plugged it in, put in the key, and it clicked and I could start it. I started it a couple of times just to make sure everything was going to be fine. And then I knew I could get started on the job. I'd hate to pull apart the steering column and replace it just to find out that I had purchased a faulty unit and had to start over again, and in the meantime didn't have a vehicle to drive around. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. We have two fasteners we need to remove. One back here, that's that bolt, and this is the little retaining clip that we're going to remove right in here, and then we're going to slide out that pin. And we're going to do the same thing on both sides. So you can see on the other side here, you've got the same arrangement. Get a better picture there. Same arrangement where you have the retaining clip, and you have the bolt, and then we're going to pull out the pin. And before I get started on this whole thing, I'm going to disconnect my battery. First, I'm going to roll my window down here so I don't get locked out. Window down. Get the key out of the ignition. Walk around the hood here. Where are you? There we go. We're going to disconnect the battery. You have to be really careful when you're disconnecting the battery on these. There is an explosive device that's right here that breaks the battery connection in the event that you get into an accident. So you just take a socket on there, loosen it up, slide it up, and I put a little rag underneath there just to prevent the positive lead from touching the positive on the battery. All right, guys, next step after you remove the battery positive terminal, we're going to remove the airbag and the steering wheel. We're also going to remove the steering cassette and the stalks off of this column here. So to get the airbag out, you first need some sort of long pointy tool, and then you're going to stick the tool right in this hole right here. So you're just going to stick it right in there. So you feel a little bit of a resistance. You're going to keep pushing, and the airbag will pop right out. All right, so this one wanted to fight me a little bit, but basically it's going to pop right out here. Nice and slow, bringing it back. The wires are not very long, and you're going to disconnect these 3 connectors on the top here. There we go. We got 1, 2, and the 3rd. And get all of those out. We're also going to remove this one, which is the heated steering wheel. Sorry, this one right here, which is the heated steering wheel. I'll go ahead and pull that one apart. And now we have our airbag out. All right, next thing is to remove the steering wheel here. Got a 16mm 1/2-inch drive socket. Sit right in the middle here. I'm going to press my knees up against the wheel. Stick that on there. And I'm going to turn it right off. All right, so now it's loose. Go ahead, remove that nut, or the bolt rather. All right, got that one right out. And then I'm going to line up the steering wheel nice and straight here. Okay, nice and straight. I'm going to put the bolt down. And then I'm going to pull the wheel straight back, and it's going to slide right off. Nice and easy, just like that. And you can see this, there's actually a slot in the wheel at the top here where the steering cassette slides into, and that's where everything plugs right into. And then you can see the steering cassette and the stalks right there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the steering cassette here is really dirty. I'm going to wipe it off really quick, keep this nice and straight, and I'm going to put a piece of tape on the top here. I don't want to spin this the wrong direction. If I spin it the wrong direction, I'm going to break the contacts in there, and my steering cassette's no longer going to work. None of the buttons on the wheel are going to work or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little tape on there right now. Alright guys, next thing to remove the steering cassette and the stalks, you have 4 T25 screws. You got one here, one here, one here, one here. And remove those and you'll be able to slide the whole assembly right forward. After that, you're going to disconnect this one here. Let's get that down, right like that. And then you're going to pull everything else off the back here and remove this assembly so that we can put it on the new upper steering column we're going to install in a few minutes. Alright guys, this is what the upper steering column looks like without the stock and steering cassette assembly on it. See, I disconnected these wires here. I'm going to disconnect this one here. You push in on the top and then you pull down on the little gray piece and you'll see the whole thing slides right out like that. And then you just wiggle it out and that's it. This piece here, you just gotta pull the little retaining clip off, and then next we need to remove the nut or the bolt, which I've already done over here in the back, and then we're gonna remove this retaining clip. We're gonna do that on both sides, but first As you can see right down here, that bolt sticking up is preventing this retaining clip from coming off, so we just need to get underneath it here. And it's a 5mm Allen head. We're just going to loosen it up just a little bit so that we can slide that plate off. Alright, so I've slid down that that bolt right there with that nut, or the fastener, and now I can slide this plate right off like that. There we go. So that's what the plate looks like. Put it right here. I've already done the other side. So next is going to be to remove the 2 pins on either side. Alright, pin removal is pretty easy, but it kind of takes 2 hands, so I'm going to show you. So I just put my pliers on here, wiggled up and down, and then was able to slide the whole pin right out. Alright, this side was a little bit more difficult. I just grabbed and wiggled. As you can see, I couldn't quite grab it perfectly, but I just grabbed it and wiggled it up and down and back and forth, and grabbed the upper steering column and wiggled that, and was able to get that side out. Next, I'm going to make sure this is disconnected here. I'm going to do that really quick, and then I'm going to pull this whole thing out. Alright guys, I've disconnected this. As you can see, it's just got a little thing on the bottom there that slides into that hole, so pried that out. So now this whole gimbal assembly is loose, and I'm going to slide it out nice and easy. Take a little bit of wiggling. We're going to slide that thing out. Alright, well, it did not want to come out, but it did. So as you can see, that slides right in there. So let's pull this whole thing out. It's got a splined inside shaft there, and it's hard to see. I'll grab a light you can see in there. So that one is junk. Let's take a look in here. So you guys can see the spline shaft that's in there. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure I lube this one up really good, the new one, before I stick it back in. Make sure we don't have any issues. Alright, so this is the new upper steering column fitted into the lower steering column. I did find that there is a small collar. It's kind of hard to see. You can see it right in there. And that is loose, and what that does is that fits on the back of this shaft right here. I'm not going to be able to get that back on, so I'm going to put it together and hope for the best, and we'll see what happens. So I've got the new steering column pushed into place here. I'm going to put the pins back in each side, and the retaining clips and the fasteners. Alright guys, so these pins here, I've got them in, finally. I've had to apply a little bit of grease to them, just a smallest amount of grease to them, just to give them a little bit of help getting in there. Next is we're going to take these retaining clips, and we're going to put them back in place, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, so you can see I've got everything back in place. I've got the pins in both sides. I've got the retaining clips back on. I've got the little machine screws back in, and I'm going to go ahead and raise that black machine screw back up into place. Remember, I had to lower it down to get that retaining clip off, and then we'll move on. Alright guys, so one of the things I noticed when I put everything back together here is that you know, I put these machine screws in the exact same spot they were before, and I had wobble. You can see the wobble up and down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust these. See, it brings it in and out, and you slide it up and down. And there's a roller in the top here and a roller in the bottom, and that's what helps. That's what moves the wheel up and down. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust these so that so all the wobble disappears. Guys, so I've adjusted these. They're both kind of in the more up position now than they were before. You can see the witness mark from where it used to be and where it is now. And you can see that there's no wobble There's no wobble in the wheel. There's just, you know, the slightest up and down movement. We don't want to over tighten, but we want there to be, you know, no additional movement in this whole system here. So next thing we're going to do is we are going to put our stock back on. All right, guys. So next step here, clip in our harness. Put it into that hole there, nice and secure. Then we are going to hook up this, which is our steering lock immobilizer deal. That nice and sturdy in there. Good. So that one's done. Then gonna pull the. This one still has the bolt in the wheel here. Go ahead and remove that. And we're going to take our steering column, steering cassette and stocks. These are the old stocks. I wanted to reuse the old one because the donor ones were not in great shape. So we're gonna reconnect all the wires back here. Got this one, which goes up here. We've got, let's see, what do we have down here? So this one goes here. We've got this green one. That's going to go here, and it looks like I need two hands to do this. So I'm going to hook everything back up here and slide this this whole assembly back into place. All right, guys. So I've fastened, got all the connectors in the back of this assembly. Slid it back on. 1, 2, 3, 4 screws to get that thing in. You see my steering cassette still taped down, which is good. Everything seems fine. So next I am going to put the cover back on the top and the bottom. It's easier to do when the wheel is off, so I might as well do it right now. Alright, guys, so I got the top and bottom covers back on. There's 3 screws in the bottom that hold that in place, and I clipped this fancy cover back over the top and the bottom, so that all looks nice. Next thing is to put the steering wheel back on. Guys, we're on the home stretch now. Got the wheel bolted back on in place. You can see the steering lock is obviously working on this new column. I've got this one wire plugged in. This is the heated steering wheel module, or ECM, and I've got the airbag that's going on next. And we're gonna hook up this plug, and this goes to the heated steering wheel module, and that's gonna be it. This will just all the wires will connect. This will push straight into place, and that'll be it. All right, guys, the airbag's back in place. Moment of truth. Just plugged, and I also reconnected the battery, so you can hear it. Put in the key. Maybe you can't hear it. I'll take it out again. Put it in. Turn it. Fired right up. No issue there. We'll reset the steering angle sensor. That's all good. Turn it off. Oh, turn the fan off here. Go ahead and turn it off. Key. And clicked. Put it in. Click. Turn it on. All fixed.